In my last video, we explored why Social Security is having funding problems. We discovered that Social Security has about a 25% shortfall starting in 2036. In this video, we'll explore possible solutions to fix the Social Security shortfall. My favorite source to explore solutions is a Congressional Budget Office report on potential solutions. Here's a chart from the report. It shows potential solutions for changes to tax, to benefit formula, increases to benefits for low earners, raising the full retirement age, and reducing the cost of living adjustment. You can put together your own recommended solution by piecing solutions together that equal 0.7. I bet you and your friends could agree on a solution to Social Security over lunch. When looking at solutions for Social Security, I'd recommend using automatic adjustments that will maintain the long-term solvency without requiring legislative action. This will help to boost confidence in the system, knowing there are automatic adjustments in place. For example, my favorite recommended solution is to index the full retirement age to changes in longevity. This would help permanently solve one of the three main causes of the Social Security funding problem. It would also automatically adjust in the future. I'll share two potential combinations that I think make sense. You'll notice that each solution ends with an automatic annual adjustment to keep Social Security in balance. The first solution solves the shortfall by making only benefit changes without making tax changes. To look at the change, let's go back to the workers to beneficiary teeter-totter from my first video. The two workers are still paying $375 in tax for revenue of $750. The beneficiary is expecting a payment of $1,000, producing a shortfall of 25%. This solution would make three changes. First, index the full retirement age to changes in longevity. This option would maintain a constant ratio of projected years of benefit to years of work. The full retirement age would rise by approximately half a month per birth year. Under this option, the CBO estimates that the full retirement age for people born in 1979 would be 68. The full retirement age for people born in 2003 would be 69 and would reach 70 for people born in 2026. This has no impact for a retiree in 2015. For a retiree in 2050, it would reduce benefits by about 4% and reduce benefits by 14% for a retiree in 2085. This averages out to about a 6% reduction. The second change I'd make is to base the annual cost of living adjustment on the chained CPI-U instead of CPI-W. The chained CPI-U takes into account that consumers generally adjust their spending patterns as some prices change relative to others. That is, when a price of something goes up, you find a lower cost replacement. The chained CPI-U would grow at about 0.3% more slowly each year than the current method. If a retiree is expected to live about 20 years, that is about 3% less on average. So, a retiree in 2015, 2050, and 2085 would see about a 3% reduction. The third change I'd recommend is to make automatic annual changes to the benefit formula, the primary insurance amount factors, to keep the system in balance. To calculate benefits, you use the highest 35 years of earnings. This is known as the average index monthly earnings. The formula that applies to people that first become eligible in 2012 is 90% of the first $767 of earnings, plus 32% of earnings between $767 and $4,624, plus 15% of earnings over $4,624. Workers with lower wages have a higher benefit percent. Those with $750 of average index monthly earnings have a 90% benefit. Those with $2,410 of average index monthly earnings have a 50% benefit. And those with $7,950 of average index monthly earnings have a 30% benefit. Automatic annual adjustments could be made to change the second and third benefit percentages to keep the system in balance. Let's say we need to make a reduction over several years. Current estimates look like we need to lower 32% down to 27.3% and 15% down to 12.8%. The change would only impact future beneficiaries and would not impact those currently receiving benefits. This chart shows the impact of the change. There would be no benefit change for lower earners and increasingly larger reductions for higher wage earners. So future retirees in 2015, 2050, and 2085 would see about a 7% reduction on average. Putting these three changes together gives us a benefit of about $850. So why is there still a $100 shortfall between the revenue of $750 and the benefit of $850? We've built up the OASDI trust fund enough that it could supplement the shortfall through the 75-year projection period of the trust fund report. That assumes we make the changes relatively soon. The longer we wait, the larger the change we'll need to make since the trust fund is starting to decline. Here is a second potential solution. This solution solves the problem with a benefit reduction and a tax increase. Let's go back to the workers to beneficiary teeter-totter. The two workers are still paying $375 in tax for a revenue of $750. The beneficiary is expecting a payment of $1,000, producing a shortfall of 25%. Just like the first solution, I'd start with indexing the full retirement age to changes in longevity. Under this indexing plan, I'd maintain a constant expected number of benefit years. That is, if longevity increases 1 year, increase the full retirement age 1 year. Under this option, the full retirement age would be projected to reach 68 for those born in 1978, 69 for those born in 1998, and 70 for those born in 2019. That has no impact for a retiree in 2015. For a retiree in 2050, it would reduce benefits by about 5% and reduce benefits by 18% for a retiree in 2085. This averages out to about an 8% reduction. So the one retiree is now expecting $920. The second change I'd recommend is to tax all earnings above the taxable maximum by 2%, 1% for employees and employers. Those earnings are currently taxed at 0%. The taxable maximum in 2012 is $110,100. Those that have been blessed can contribute a little extra. Let's look at a low and high earner. With this change, the low earner does not pay any more in tax. The high earner has earnings over $110,100 taxed, so they'd pay $24 more each month. So now we're getting revenue of $774 a month. The third change I'd recommend is to make automatic annual changes to the Social Security payroll tax. Current estimates look like we need to increase the tax by 0.8%, 0.4% each for employees and employers. So the employee tax would go from 6.2% to 6.6%. Everyone can save a little more to protect the system. So the low earner pays $12 more each month, and the high earner pays another $34 each month. We now have revenue of $820. Like the first solution, we still have a shortfall of $100 between the revenue and costs. Assuming we make the changes soon, the trust fund can cover the difference through the 75-year projection period of the trust fund report. You may not agree with either of these solutions, so I'd encourage you to develop your own recommended solution and lobby for the change. Also remember that Social Security is projected to have a 25% benefit reduction after 2036. So if one of these changes I recommended impacts you, you might feel it is unfair. Think about the change compared to a 25% benefit reduction before you have a negative opinion on the change. For example, let's look at the potential solution of basing the annual cost of living adjustment on chained CPI-U instead of CPI-W. The CBO projects that the chained CPI-U will increase on average by 0.3% more slowly per year than the CPI-W. In this chart, let's assume someone retires in 2020 with a $1,000 monthly benefit. The blue line shows the current cost of living adjustment assuming growth of 2.5% and a 25% benefit reduction in 2036. The red line shows the annual cost of living adjustments using the chained CPI-U assuming growth of 2.2% and no benefit reduction in 2036. This assumes other program changes were made that bring the program into actuarial balance. You can see that the individual is still better off in the long run. We need to anchor our comparison to a 25% benefit reduction in 2036. Based on that comparison, most of the changes look pretty good. So I'd recommend 4 next steps. First, make the changes sooner. I wouldn't wait until 2036 when it looks like we'll need a 25% benefit reduction. The sooner we make the changes, the easier it will be. The longer we delay making changes, the larger the benefit cuts or tax increases we'll need to make later. The sooner we make the changes, the less painful it will be in the end. The second, elect politicians who will find a solution to Social Security. It isn't easy, but that is why we elect them. Third, get informed. Here's the link to the CBO report on Social Security options that you can use to develop your own solution that you would recommend. Fourth, start saving for your own retirement today. Assuming the present law continues, Social Security will be around as a solid base, but it isn't enough to maintain your current standard of living into retirement. So start saving for your retirement early, even if you get started with just a small amount. I hope this video was helpful.